It's another edition of Time About the Movies, and today we're taking a look at the films of January 28th, 2005. We got 4 movies to look at today, 3 new movies and 1 classic movie. Let's go and jump on into it, and we'll start off with the biggest new release of the weekend, Robert De Niro and Dakota Fanning starring in Hide and Seek.
He thought Charlie was his daughter's imaginary friend.
Well, she gets a little shy around new faces. You gonna say hi?
Until people started dying.
Where is Charlie?
He just left.
On January 28th,
Neighbor called, so there's a problem.
if you want to know the secret,
Emily!
you have to play the game. Hide and Seek. This film is not hit rated. January 28th.
God, Robert De Niro made some pretty bad movies around this time. Godsend, Shark Tale, now Hide and Seek. Thank God we're going to have him in a much better movie coming up a little bit later in the show, but this is Hide and Seek, the psychological thriller with De Niro and Dakota Fanning, in which you have Fanning as a young girl who's, after her mother commits suicide in the bathtub, is taken to live upstate in her new surroundings to forget her traumatic past. And a psychologist named David, her father, played by De Niro, learns that his daughter has a new friend, the enigmatic, never-to-be-seen, imaginary or not, Charlie. A deadly game of hide and seek ensues. Who is Charlie, and what is troubling David in his dreams? Imagine the recently released movie Imaginary, but even stupider. And Imaginary was a stupid movie, but man, this takes the cake. And yeah, just to tell you how bad this movie is, they shot 5 different endings for this movie, and they purposefully didn't send the final reel to the theaters. 20th Century Fox didn't do that because they didn't want people to spoil the ending of the movie. So basically, you were going into the movie getting a different alternate ending. This isn't like with Clue, where the 85 Clue movie, where they literally tell you in the commercials that you're gonna, no matter which screen is, you're gonna see a different ending, which is whichever theater screening you go to. But this is a completely different thing, because each one had at least the 3 different endings, and then eventually those all came together in the home video release of the movie. But that's not what this is doing. This is a movie that is literally telling you, we did not know how to end this, so here's 5 different endings to this movie. Make up your own mind about what you want to do, because we clearly don't want to give it to you anymore. It's like choose your own adventure, and not in a good way. If a movie can't figure out what ending they want to go with here, and they just have to do 5 different ones to be like, choose your own ending, we don't give a shit anymore, that's not a good sign for this movie. And it's a shame, because there's people who are trying. Everybody in here is a pretty good actor. I mean, this has more of a stacked cast than this movie type of film should have. Robert De Niro, like I said, Dakota Fanning, Famke Janssen, Elizabeth Shue, Amy Irving, Dylan Baker, Melissa Leo, Robert John Burke. A good cast in general here, but it's not a good sign if you don't even know how the hell you're going to end this movie. And, you know, it's the dumping month of January, which means that there's nothing else out there. So, of course, we'll go and see this movie and make it a hit. And it was a hit. It made over $127 million off of a $25 million budget. So, there is at least that. I guess in the end, Fox won. But did they really win? I mean, really. If you have to have 5 different endings for this movie, you really have no idea what you're doing, because you don't even know how to end your movie. You don't even have a purpose for your movie to even exist. There's like a subplot. There's like one of the endings is if this girl Dakota Fanning is playing has this dissociative identity disorder. There's an ending where she doesn't have it. There's one where she's in a psychiatric ward. There's one where you think she's in a psychiatric ward and you don't have her in the countdown. There's one you think it's in a psychiatric ward, but it turns out that no, it's actually a new home for her. Like, they had no idea how to end this movie. And it would be, I mean, I'd give it a pass if the rest of the film in general was good. But no, there's nothing good about this whatsoever. The scares are about as formulaic as you can get. There's no tension. There's no thrill factor. There's nothing of value to this movie whatsoever that makes it tolerable or watchable. It's just a mess of a movie. It's just a terrible, terrible movie. It perfectly fits into the month of January, and with the dumping month, but yeah, it's not a good movie in general. But it certainly kicks the crap out of the next movie we have here, Uwe Boll's infamous Alone in the Dark.
Hello?
It's happening again.
I don't believe it. To track down an ancient evil, they have been trained to hunt it.
You gotta go down there.
Christian Bale and Stephen Dorff are the biggest stars of the movie. Man, this would have been great in 1995. It would have been a hit, but not in 2005 when these two had clearly not done anything of importance since then. Oh, and Tara Reid's in here because she's playing an archaeologist, and you can tell she's an archaeologist because she wears glasses and has her hair in a ponytail. And, that's the clear sign that she's a smart woman, and we just don't want to disguise the fact that she's also a hot woman as well. It's the Transformers The Last Night method with the actress who plays Quill's mother in the Guardians of the Galaxy movies. In that movie, she had the same thing. Or even on TV, when you watch Gutfeld and you see Cat Tor, it feels like they're not as smart as you think they are, but just because they're wearing they're wearing glasses and the ponytail is in their hot, that's just the excuse that we need to say that these people are smart, and they're not really smart in general. And this, just like this movie, is not smart. I mean, it's Uwe Boll doing what Uwe Boll does best, making a terrible movie, knowing that it's a bad movie, but it's okay. It will make money, but it's more than okay because it's a tax write-off for Germany. It's for Germany, I think it is. I think wasn't that it? The tax write-off for Germany, because this was not a big hit. This was not a hit at all. It bombed pretty hard at the box office, but it made its money through video because everyone wanted to see how stupid it was. But I could have sworn that he made these movies essentially for tax write-offs, and it didn't really hurt him in the long run. But yeah, it didn't hurt him in the long run, but it hurt people who went to go see these movies and were suckered into it. I mean, at least House of the Dead I can understand. Even though that wasn't a great movie in general, I can understand where the source material was coming from, but this has nothing to do with Alone in the Dark at all. There's nothing of value here. The creature effects are terrible. It's a poorly written film. It rips off so many other movies, The Evil Dead, it's a bad movie. Like, Hide and Seek is a bad movie, but Hide and Seek had at least a good cast to it. An idea was there. They just wanted to make a movie so they can make it off of it because the video game was popular. And, hey, Resident Evil was popular, and we could sucker people in with this. And, yeah, this is what we get. This is what we get. A really terrible movie that could be seen as a so bad it's good type of movie, but I don't know. I'm not the type of person that gets into stuff like that. But yeah, it's... For some, it's a guilty pleasure. For me, it's just a terrible movie. So, yeah. Needless to say, avoid Alone in the Dark like the plague. So, let's go ahead and move on to some better movies. Let's start off with the James Cameron documentary, Aliens of the Deep.
2.5 miles beneath the surface of the ocean.
That's incredible.
By the clues to life in our universe. In order to find life in an ocean on another world, we have to continue the journey here. Join Academy Award-winning director James Cameron for a once-in-a-lifetime 3D journey.
Use Earth as a training ground for going to another planet.
Aliens of the Deep in IMAX 3D theaters. Directed by James Cameron and Stephen Quayle. Rated G. Starts January 28th.
So kind of like with James Cameron's other documentary he made for Disney, Ghost of the Abyss, you have him teaming up with NASA scientists to explore the mid-ocean ridges, submerged chains of mountains in the Atlantic and the Pacific Oceans that are home to some of the planet's most unusual forms of life. And he joins up with a Russian research vessel, and it's very similar to Ghost of the Abyss, which involved him journeying to the wreck of the Titanic, and they use IMAX 3D to present the feeling that you're actually there. And again, kind of like with Ghost of the Abyss, this would have been kind of cool to see on a big screen like that, to see how immersive this movie can really be, because it does look very pretty, and it does look like a very engaging film in general that can also be very informational, too. Like, who says that you can't be entertained while also be educated? And that's what I like about Ghost of the Abyss, and I like what I see here from this movie. It's a good idea in general. Maybe not as good as Ghost of the Abyss is, but on a visual and technical level, it's really impressive to look at overall. It's a very enjoyable film, a fun film in general, and one that I would definitely recommend checking out. It's one that probably would be best if you had like a fancy high-def HD television, like a 3D television, to really appreciate the magnitude of this. But from what I saw from it when I watched it the first time, I did enjoy it a lot. So yeah, let's get to the last movie we have here, a much better Robert De Niro movie that came out this weekend, and it's a classic, and that is Raging Bull.
Raging Bull. To them, he was the Bronx Destroyer, the Raging Bull. To her, the Raging Lover, filled with passion and jealousy. Robert De Niro is the Raging Bull.
I didn't do it.
He loved to win. He hated to lose. Raging Bull. When he lost it all.
I guess they were just calling it the Raging Bull. Everybody, not just Sally Field at the Oscars, but also that trailer in general. That is not a good trailer that I found there. It's very hard to actually find a trailer for it, honestly, except for the main theatrical trailer. But MGM is very strict about using their clips in general. That's one of those people that always get a copyright. I always get a copyright claim from. So I tried to find some TV spots. I couldn't find any in particular, but so yeah, this is of course Raging Bull, celebrating its 25th anniversary this year, so MGM decides to release it in theaters. It follows the career of Jake LaMotta, who's played by Robert De Niro, and his rise and fall in the boxing scene and his turbulent personal life beset by rage and jealousy, which includes Kathleen Moriarty, Joe Pesci, Frank Vincent, and Nicholas Colasanto from Cheers in his final film role. And the movie really is good. It's definitely one of Martin Scorsese's greatest movies. It's a film that is really impressive and, shows off the greatness of what Scorsese and De Niro can do together. They've made a lot of great movies together. This is definitely one of their stronger movies. The black and white aspect, I think, works very well to the movie. I don't think this could have worked with a color scheme in general. I think it's had to be in black and white, and they do a very good job of creating the intensity and the tension of these boxing scenes, as well as creating great characters in De Niro and Joe Pesci's characters, and Jake LaMotta and who's Pesci? Joey and his brother Joey LaMotta. Great script by Paul Schrader and Modric Martin. Great cinematography by Michael Chapman. Some great music by where's the music at? I don't remember. I say it's great music, and I don't remember who did the score for it. I'm sure I can find. It's got to be here somewhere. Maybe there wasn't a score. Maybe there wasn't a composer for it. That's very rare because most of the songs that they used in the movie were, Martin Scorsese essentially decided to go for a soundtrack made of music that was popular at the time, using his collection of 78s, and there was no score from his composer here in general. And I could have sworn there was somebody else there involved in it, but I guess not. So I forget what I said about the music, even though the music in here is really good. But yeah, there was no credited score as composer for this. What's most interesting about this particular movie that I found out was that it actually it wasn't even that big of a hit, both critically or financially. I mean, it made back its budget, and it also was a decently reviewed film, but it got mostly mixed reviews when it came out, which makes it even more impressive that De Niro won the Oscar, and the editing was really acclaimed for it, and ended up winning those two Oscars for Best Actor and Best Editing. But yeah, it's impressive to think about. And think about this: it's a mixed reviewed film, and yet it got 8 Academy Awards back then. This just shows you how much we've changed in terms of film criticism back then. Because even a movie that got mixed reviews back then could still get a lot of heavy praise from the Oscars in general and be up for these big awards. And of course, it has gone on to become one of the greatest films ever made. It was actually selected by many people as the best movie of the 1980s, most notably Gene Siskel and Roger Ebert, and you can't really argue that. I mean, it's a movie that really is great to watch. On a visual scale, on an acting scale, on a story scale. It's just an incredible movie. One that I can't recommend enough. It's definitely one of Martin Scorsese's best movies. Raging Bull. What more can you say? But it's a classic movie and one you should be definitely checking out. And so with that said, we wrap up another edition of Time About the Movies, and we're still in the dumping months of January, although we're jumping into February. It's Super Bowl weekend, which means that the studios at the time are not releasing anything big on that weekend. So what do we get? Boogeyman, another horror movie, and also Deborah Messing and Dermot Mulroney in The Wedding Day, the comedy The Wedding Day, and that's one I do remember seeing. Does it hold up after all these years? Well, it didn't really hold up back then, so we'll see if it does next time we meet. But we'll take a look at both of those movies on the next episode. But until then, thank you so much for watching. And if you want to see more videos like this, please hit the plays on the next page, check out the previous episode, and also don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button if you want to see more videos like this on this channel. So, with that said, I am off. I will see you guys next time, and until then, as always, take care.